Welcome back, friends and family of the internet. Welcome back, you watchers on the wall. You amazing people that keep your ear to the ground and your eyes looking up, because you and I know what's up, right? Hi, guys. My name is Samantha. I own 2 acres here in St. Helena Parish. My husband and I, do organic no-till gardening. We are currently looking to purchase more land as we're believing the Lord's taking us to the next step in this journey of growing food and being a little more self-sustainable. Today, I want to talk to you about how many chemical fires, explosions, and leaks happen in this country every single day. You heard me right. Your town, your community might be next. We're going to talk about what plants will remove toxins from your soil and how easy it would be for you to plant those just like that. But the real problem is, why are governments not wanting their citizens to plant these specific types of flowers and plants? We're going to get into that and so much more. So don't go anywhere. Let me give you an update on the Smitty's fire. That was Roseland, Louisiana, August 22nd, 2025. From what I'm hearing, the unofficial, coconut wire type of gossip that's running through our community was a lightning strike sparked this fire. That's what I'm hearing. I'm just saying, we'll see, right? Supposedly. And good news, if you believe the EPA, there's nothing to be worried about. I mean, the air quality is perfect. But if you don't believe the EPA, like most of us, and you're sitting back going, how can you dare try to tell me that black smoke that burned for 30 hours plus, had absolutely no kind of toxins in it? You want me to swallow that pill? If you're of that mindset, definitely keep watching, because an independent expert is warned of chemical risk after Smitty's supply in Roseland, the fire. Listen.
The fire at Smitty's supply in Roseland is still creating concerns, not just about the damage on site, but about what's falling from the sky and settling into neighborhoods. News 2's Jordan Ponzio spoke with an independent testing expert known for exposing toxic chemical spills nationwide, who's now in Tangipahoa Parish warning residents about possible health risks.
Scott Smith is a nationally recognized water and soil contamination expert. He's investigated disasters from the BP oil spill in the Gulf to chemical leaks in Ohio and Georgia. After seeing images of oil falling from the sky in Roseland, Smith says he dropped everything to begin testing here.
What I saw is the coverage like yours of the oil in the pools and the raining down of the oil. That is very concerning. That's why I stopped what I'm doing to come here.
Smith is an independent testing expert who says he isn't just looking for the obvious. He warns dangerous chemicals may be coating homes and lawns.
A lot of the government agencies, responsible parties, if you don't look for chemicals like benzene, you can say you didn't find it. So I look for the full spectrum of chemicals.
That includes toxic byproducts like dioxins formed when oil burns.
And in this particular case, we're concerned about products of incomplete combustion like dioxins and a whole host of other materials.
Reports of oily residue have stretched 15 to 20 miles from the fire.
15, 20 miles out, I'm seeing reports of, oil in people's pools. You can clearly see it rain down out of the sky. That's very concerning.
Smith is advising families to save anything that may hold samples.
Oil that rained down in people's pools, that's very concerning, and that needs to be tested. And I would encourage residents, do not dispose of your air filters. Do not dispose of soot and ash. Protect your pets. And anybody that wants to have testing done can reach out to me.
Smith's samples will go to his labs, where he'll have results in around 2 weeks.
We'll go to, the 2 labs I use are no big secret. It's Eurofins Laboratories and ALS Environmental. 2 of the best labs in the country. They look for all these different chemicals, EPA certified by all the states. And I'm going to push to get these initial results as soon as possible.
Jordan Ponzio, WBRZ News 2.
Smith will be in Tangipahoa Parish for the next couple of days to take samples before testing. State officials have not yet said what exactly has been burning at the facility.
And I tell you guys how excited I am to have this gentleman in my community. And I'm going to try to reach out. You guys know I am. I'm going to try to get Mr. Smith here on my channel. I'd love to speak to him. He is the gentleman that the EPA lied about. Remember the video I did the other day? I'm almost positive it's the same gentleman. I need to go back and double check that. But if you already have, please drop that in comments. Now, how safe are you in your community? You may think this may never happen. Why, Samantha, is this the third video you've done on this in 3 days? Can't we talk about something else? Two reasons. One, this is legitimately what I do for a living, growing under a poisoned sky. You can find it on Amazon, Kindle, at Walmart, Walden Books, eBay, right? If you'd like a signed, autographed copy, I am trying to raise money for my husband's soon-to-be surgeries and the amount of work he's going to miss. See, YouTube does not pay me. Let me repeat that. YouTube does not pay me. They have not paid me 1 penny in 5 months. So if you would donate even $1, all 104,000 of you, you guys could literally hear me stop saying, please donate $1. You can look in the top of comments. If you do add your email, I'll give you the Zoom links and send you the monthly newsletter. If you just want to donate with none of that, don't add your email. Okay, guys, spilltracker.org. All of you can go check this. The U.S. averages one petrochemical incident every 3 days. That includes chemical spills, fires, and explosions. In 2024 alone, there were 132 petrochemical related incidents, up from the 96 reported in 2023. Now, countless go unreported. So every week, we're tracking these incidents, which can release carcinogenic petrochemicals like vinyl chloride, ammonia, benzene, and butadiene into the air, ground, and water. Just so you guys know, 228 incidences since 2023 and counting are costing us our lives, our livelihoods, and our health. 39% of the U.S. population lives within 3 miles of a hazardous facility. Yearly, it is costing $477 million due to evacuations, medical treatment, injuries, and deaths caused by chemical accidents. You are 5 times more likely to have a chemical incident in Texas and Louisiana. All right, here we go. Let me get it back to the top. The last one, Louisiana, Roseland, right? This is such an interesting channel. Really do hope some of you will go look at this. 9 days ago, right here, West Virginia, an ammonia leak was reported Saturday. Before that, you had a derailment in Texas. Did you guys know about that? The derailment in Texas? Hold on, it's not wanting me to move this up. Anyway, you can go look at it yourself. I just wanted to show you. I don't want to take up the whole thing, but it's bad. I wanted to show you this. I found this. A lovely lady sent me a packet of information. I went through it, and this is what I found. August 17th of 2016. Now, this community was wanting to have people tested for chemical contamination. The bill would fund studies to find toxins in people. It says last year's version of the bill would have funded a more ambitious program through a tobacco tax. With a cost estimate of $1 million a year, it lacked support in the state's fiscal crisis. Cost estimates for the newly proposed biomonitoring project haven't been set, but advocates said it's pared down and will fund only research gathering. The focus is on sound science. We're not proscribing any solutions to the health effects of chemicals in California. It says that if enacted, California would be the first state to have a biomonitoring program. The state has already taken the lead by banning the manufacture, sale, and processing of two kinds of flame retardants known as polybrominated diphenyl ethers, PBDEs, by 2008. They're also calling for the ban on toxins in baby products such as hard plastic baby bottles and soft PVC plastic children toys. So this bill is just really, it was kind of neat because they were asking, hey, we want to biomonitor and measure industrial compounds, chemicals, and pollutants through blood, urine, and breast milk. Yeah, I've done some videos of that. If you go back and look in my Only Organic whole playlist, I talked about all the different pesticides and toxins found in the amniotic fluid of pregnant women. It's horrific. All right, another must-read report. Mosquito control pesticides sprayed in at least 25 states contain cancer-causing PFAS. PFAS. Everybody say it with me. PFAS. These are known on the street as forever chemicals, friends and family and community members, because they don't break down in the environment. They will suppress your immune system, cause cancer and other health issues. A national nonprofit revealed Tuesday that testing commissioned by the group, as well as separate analysis conducted by Massachusetts officials, show samples of an error of a sprayed pesticide used by the Commonwealth and at least 25 other states to control mosquito-borne illnesses. It is known as forever chemicals. PFAS, this main group of man-made chemicals, including PFO and PFAS and Gen X, earned the nickname because they do not break down in the environment and they build up in the body. PFAS have been linked to suppressed immune function, cancers, and other health issues. Lawmakers and regulators at various levels of government have worked to clean up drinking water contaminated by PFAS. The newly released results of pesticide testing by public employees for environmental responsibility have generated an alarm about the effectiveness of such efforts. In Massachusetts, communities are struggling to remove PFAS from their drinking water supply, while at the same time we may be showering them with PFAS from the skies and the roads. Again, please look at purchasing our book, Growing Under a Poison Sky. If you'd like to get an autographed book to help me be a Proverbs woman, look in the top of comment. There's comments. There's different ways that you can donate. Send $1 with your phone number. Say, I want the book, and I'll call you. You can bid, and I'll mail you the book with my signature. I'm sorry, guys. My sinuses, my wheezing has been so bad since that explosion. Even though I'm south of it, it's still messing with my sinuses. Communities are struggling. Okay, we already read that. The frightening thing is that we do not know how many insecticides, herbicides, or even disinfectants contain PFAS. Peer found patents showing chemical companies using PFAS in these products, and recent articles discuss the variety of pesticides that contain PFAS as either an active or inert ingredient. All right, so the product tested initially by Peer and subsequently by the next group, Department of findings is Anvil 10+10 produced by the Illinois company Clark. Karen Larson, Clark's Vice President of Government Affairs, told the Boston Globe that when there was first brought to our attention, we conducted an internal inquiry of our manufacturing and supply chain to ensure that PFAS was not an ingredient in the production, manufacturing, or distribution of either the active or inactive ingredients of Anvil. No PFAS ingredients are used in the formulation of Anvil, nor in the production of any source material in Anvil. PFAS components are not added at any point in the production of Anvil. I mean, like, she couldn't have stated it any clearer, right? And it goes on to say, but in a detailed recent testing results in a letter sent to the Commissioner Martin Suberg that called for halting the use of Anvil 10+10, ensuring any replacement does not contain forever chemicals, and requiring pesticide companies to comprehensively test their products for PFAS. This fall, Pierre conducted several tests for PFAS on a 2.5-gallon jug of Anvil 10+10, the pesticide used in the aerial spraying programs of Massachusetts and 25 other states. Our tests revealed that Anvil 10+10 contains roughly 250 parts per trillion of perfluorocanonic acid, PFOA, and 260 to 500 parts per trillion of HFPODA, a Gen X replacement for PFOS. While PFOS may be useful when added to pesticides as a sufferant, disbursement, and anti-foaming agent, it is unclear whether the PFAS found in Anvil 1010 is in an ingredient added by the manufacturer or contained in one of the other ingredients supplied to Anvil's manufactured by other companies. In other words, folks, the supply chain is so much. You've got to get this chemical from this company and this chemical from this company and this chemical from China. And unless these businesses are testing each one of these individual ingredients coming in from other plants, being mixed in to make Anvil 10+10, they can't be 100% sure that there's no PFAS or PFOS inside of there. Anyway, can I just ask the question we're all thinking, why are you dumping insecticide on top of all of us to kill mosquitoes? Could it be because you guys keep jacking with mosquitoes as a way to spread viruses, just like you did the ticks? Go back and watch my videos. I found this article to be pretty interesting right here, folks. It says, well, if I can I really do detest, I'm not going to say hate, the way they do all this on these, the pop-ups. Chemical reaction, how Tacoma, Washington became the serial killer capital of America. I know, right? In 1996, Jack Spillman, aka the werewolf butcher, confessed to murdering 3 people, 2 of them children. His brutality was staggering. He raped his victims, but he also cut members of their body parts off and then drank, their internal fluids. Keep going. Anyway, why am I talking about this? Because there is a link coming up. The Pacific Northwest is known for 5 things: lumber, aircraft, tech, coffee, and serial killers. If you take a ruler and lay it down in 1961 and connect the dots between Charles Manson, Ted Bundy, Gary Ridgway, you practically draw a straight line. Is it just an unlucky coincidence, or could it be something to do with the region's high concentration of smelter factories that release high levels of arsenic, cyanide, lead, and other dangerous chemicals into the air? I'm just saying. I want you guys to think about this. There was a push in the 1970s and then a ban in the 1980s on lead-based paint. I did a video on this about a year ago because I found it to be very questionable. You are spewing at these smelter factories and other places in the United States. You're spewing lead into the air that we breathe. It's coming back down into the soil and the water. It's in the food that we ingest and the products we put on our bodies. But you banned lead-based paint because a baby might eat paint chips and get brain damage. Yet water in America, there's something like 70% of the pipes moving your water to your faucet right now are lead-lined pipes. Make it make sense. I'm just asking. How does Candace do that? We're just asking questions. In 2018, Washington State Department of Ecology launched an online resource called Dirt Alert, a block-by-block map of lead and arsenic contamination. Of the 4 major plumes, the largest area of contaminated soil usually located near smelters, industrial factories used to extract metals from ore. Every one of them has hosted the activities of one or more serial rapists or murderers. Let that sink in. The author fully acknowledges that pollution is far from the only explanation. Recipes for making a serial killer may vary, including such ingredients as, they try to say poverty, but there's been rich ones also, right? Crude forceps deliveries, poor diet, physical and sexual abuse, brain damage, and neglect. But what happens if we add light dusting from the periodic table on all that trauma? In other words, a concoction of chemicals. Ground zero for this theory is Tacoma, a port city 30 miles southwest of Seattle. It's been home to a staggering 53 industrial plants, including one run by the American Smelting and Refining Company. Since the early 20th century, the penetrant odor of sulfur, chlorine, lye, and ammonia coming from these factories has dubbed the aroma of Tacoma. It is also home of Spielman, who moved there with his mother at the age of 7. Between 1976 and 1982, he lived 6 miles from ASARCO. Gary Ridgway, also known as the Green River Killer, was one of the most prolific serial killers in U.S. history, strangling at least 49 prostitutes, runaways, and teenage girls. He grew up just a few miles from the Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, where in addition to pollution from the Tacoma smokestacks, he also ingested jet fuel fumes from airplanes still flying on leaded gasoline. Might I say that again? Why did we ban lead paint in houses, yet you've got leaded gas, right? You've got plants spewing it into the air. You've got water moving in lead pipes to millions and millions of homes for babies to drink from. But we're concerned about a child gnawing on a wall. I can't be the only person that wonders if maybe removing leaded paint left your home open to them, being able to literally look inside your home from satellites. Lead blocks. Lead is used to make Faraday cages. So your home at one point, homes in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, even into the 70s, homes were basically Faraday cages. You really couldn't see into them. And yes, they were doing that back in the 50s and 60s. In fact, I was thinking about this earlier. What happened to America? My mom is 82. My dad's fixing to be 84. My mom says she wishes she could go back to the 50s and 60s. It was the greatest time ever to live in this country. Maybe for the citizens, but there was something sinister going on with the scientists, because it was the 60s that they began to work with spike protein and things like, the coronavirus. That goes all the way back to the 60s. They were beginning to really ramp up all their medical testing on dogs and cats and monkeys. I mean, it's horrific what the scientists did in the 60s, what the government and the military did in the 60s with weather warfare, psychological, drug, and even frequency-based torture of citizens without our permission. I'm just saying. And don't forget that in the 60s, I think it was the 60s, it was also the time that the Navy took the ships out from San Francisco all the way to Seattle and sprayed those coastline with all that bacteria and crap. So maybe that's also part of the reason you got so many of these killers living in that area. Ted Bundy, who confessed to murdering 30 women before being sentenced to death by the electric chair, moved to Tacoma with his mom when he was just 3, to a neighborhood where smokestacks filled the air with redolent particulates. And then you got Charles Manson, soon to be leader of a murderous cult, spent 5 years behind bars on Tacoma's McNeil Island during the 60s, where virtually everything Manson eats and drinks comes out of the earth where particulates from the Ruston plume have been drifting down to the ground since 1890. Even David Bram, a former police chief at Tacoma, became a killer, murdering his wife in front of his two young girls, 8 and 5, and allegedly raping a woman at gunpoint in 1988. If you're wondering why I'm using those words, trying to get YouTube to remonetize me. People don't like me to hear me say that. You know, guys, I cannot continue to do this for free. I really can't. So if you'd like to donate $1, please do. Then it goes on to say studies have backed up Fraser's theory, proving again and again that childhood lead exposure is associated with aggression, sociopathy, and crime. A 2001 study examined homicide rates and air lead levels in 3,101 counties across the U.S. Researchers found that the incidence of homicide is nearly 4% higher in counties with higher air lead concentrations. Jack the Ripper, who terrorized London in 1888, was breathing air contaminated by burning bituminous coal, which produced prodigious amounts of soot, smoke, gas, and ash. It says whatever's left in the environment is still there. It coats the medians and byways of every major interstate. It's in the bodies and bones and teeth of everyone who grew up with it. Every once in a while, it sets loose another Frankenstein's monster. If you'll go look at the rate of crime in my community, it's really bad. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Oh, my computer's glitching. I rebuke you. Come back on real quick. I can't even see you guys. Let's see if this will play.
As you can kind of clearly see through here, these are all the sunflowers I grow every year. I've been doing it for about 4 years now. It's been an uphill battle with the city of St. Peter's from day one, year one, when I started. Apparently there was a issue with the sunflower law in St. Peter's where you couldn't have more than 50% ratio of grass to sunflowers. As you can see in the background, there's quite a few sunflowers and it may look like that, but actually, if you look at the lower surface, there's a lot more grass than sunflower ratio. I believed I was okay. St. Peter's thought different. So that first year, we took us all the way to trial, and then they dropped the charges after the first year. You might have saw the episodes on Fox with Elliot Davis from that very first year with the interviews with the city mayor and the other city officials. Everything seemed to be pretty good. Started up year number 2. I thought everything was okay. Since they had dropped the charges, I figured they had changed their mind. I was wrong. I had got their second letter about the sunflowers with the 50% ratio. When I went to court to show that I was below the 50% ratio, I found out the city of St. Peter's had changed their actual own law, and now the 50% ratio was still there, but they didn't have to measure. It was up to their interpretation. If it looked like it was more than 50%, that was good enough. Here's your fine. Obviously, I was not happy with that new information. When a city has to change their own ordinance on a same situation, that speaks volume. The city of St. Peter's found me guilty of growing too many sunflowers. I had an option to appeal for St. Charles County. I did file the appeals, and we actually issued another trial date in St. Charles County this time instead of out of St. Peter's, this time with a jury. The jury got picked, and right before the jury trial, again, the city of St. Peter's had withdrew the charges this time, so that way they may be followed up to be recharged again. That did not go well with me. I knew something probably wasn't.
You heard what he said? The city withdrew the charges, but left it open for them to charge him again. This is how they beat us in court. It's the second time they drugged this man to court. You can imagine the amount of money he has spent to have the right to plant these sunflowers. I want to point this out to you. What is wrong with this? Look, they're in perfectly straight lines. The grass is cut and trimmed below it. He is obviously, he takes his time and he does this. This is not somebody throwing a handful of sunflowers out there and calling it a garden. These are strategically placed by size and color. It's absolutely beautiful. And St. Peter's has a problem with it. I mean, like they have a real problem. Let me get up to this part.
So I had that upcoming here in September. I don't believe the sunflowers are a crop. I believe the sunflowers, as many as my neighbors do as well, and many other people, see the sunflowers as not just beauty, but how well they help the environment. There's lots of hummingbirds, many, many bees pollinate through here day in, day out. I do take care of the yard, as you can see here, and trim it by hand to make sure that's not an issue with any of the neighbors or the front yard area. But as you can see here, I'm not going to quit this fight until this gets settled, at least settled the correct way.
That should bother us all. Let's see if it'll stop fizzing long enough for me to show you this next clip. Oh, please stop.
Where a plant was used to clean up nuclear contamination. In 1994, scientists deployed sunflower rafts on radioactive ponds near Chernobyl. The results were remarkable. In just 10 days, the plants absorbed up to 95% of cesium-137 and strontium-90 from the water. Sunflowers thrive in contaminated zones because they're hyperaccumulators, plants that absorb large volumes of nutrients from soil and water. Radioactive elements like cesium and strontium masquerade as essential nutrients, allowing the plant to take them up just as easily as potassium and calcium. But there's an important catch. Sunflowers used for cleanup should never be consumed. They store radiation inside their tissues. In a survival context, you'd grow 2 sets, one to heal the land and one to feed your family. And as a food source, they're incredibly versatile. Sunflower seeds are packed with protein and healthy fats, store well for years, and can be turned into oil or flour. The young leaves can be cooked like spinach, and the unopened flower buds are edible too, prepared like artichokes. The Fukushima disaster offered another crucial lesson: variety and.
If you've already purchased our book, Chapter 7, Get the Lead Out, we'll talk to you about not just sunflowers, people, but Indian mustard, willows, popular trees, brake ferns. God created everything we need to heal the land from what we could actually do to it.
Timing matter. After the meltdown, over 200,000 sunflowers were planted across contaminated zones, but the wrong genotypes were used, and they were planted too early before the radiation had bound to the soil. The cleanup failed, not because sunflowers don't work, but because execution matters. Hardy, fast-growing, and drought-tolerant, sunflowers grow in nearly every zone and stabilize even the harshest soils. In the aftermath of catastrophe, this bright yellow flower may be one of the smartest things you could plant. It's been called the vine that ate the South, but in a post-disaster world, kudzu's wild growth might just save you. This fast-growing vine has been shown to tolerate extreme contamination, including heavy metals like nickel, chromium, and manganese. One phytoremediation study out of Taiwan identified kudzu as a viable candidate for extracting toxic metals from soil, exactly the kind of contamination you'd face after a nuclear event. Its value doesn't stop at soil cleanup. Kudzu is a full-spectrum survival crop. The roots are loaded with starch and can be cooked like potatoes or processed into flour. The young leaves are high in protein, more than most leafy greens. You can eat the vine tips and even the flowers, which taste surprisingly like grape jelly. And because it grows so aggressively, you can harvest it continuously without risking collapse. Its deep roots, over 3 meters down, let it tap into water during droughts, and it grows in places other plants fail. Nutrient-poor soil, contaminated ground, steep slopes. After a disaster, it colonizes chaos. We've seen this before. During the Dust Bowl, the U.S. government planted over 70 million kudzu seedlings across dead farmland. Entire hillsides went from bare to green in a single season, thanks to this vine. In a nuclear fallout zone, it could do the same, restoring soil, providing calories, and reestablishing life. In any other context, kudzu is a nuisance, but in the aftermath of nuclear fallout, this fast-growing vine turns into a reliable source of food, medicine, and environmental repair. It looks like something you'd find on a Mardi Gras float, but
I will link all these videos and articles that I shared with you today in the description of the video. I hope this helps. Folks, friends, and family, especially those of my actual physical community, this is not the end of our agricultural future. It is the beginning of a journey to hold those responsible, and actually get to the truth. Let's see if I can't reach out to Mr. Scott Smith and get him on here. I want to talk to him about what he found. I'm very thankful that he's here. Such great news, especially after the last week of information coming out of East Palestine, Ohio, or East Palestine, however you want to say it, Ohio, and the train wreck in 2023 when the EPA covered up how dangerous the toxins that were there actually were. And Mr. Scott Smith was one that found that out for them. So I love you guys so much. Be blessed, be safe. Please like, comment, subscribe. And if you'd like to row in our boat, look in the top of comments. You can find our book just about everywhere, Growing Under a Poison Sky.